Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more Kuna latest news. So who do you think should replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Manchester United now? I think we have got quite a few managers on our agenda. I have been reading recent reports earlier on today, and it does say the vast majority of Manchester United fans believe that Arsene Wenger would be the right candidate for the football club. Now obviously, we do know that Arsene Wenger is managerless at the moment. We do know obviously Arsene Wenger managed Arsenal for 22 years. Obviously, Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger are the two longest serving managers in English football, and that recent reports also indicated out saying that Arsene Wenger was interested in taking the Lyon job, but I think actually Laurent Blanc is the favourite to get the Lyon job. So do you think Arsene Wenger would be the right candidate for Manchester United? So he's one of the managers on our agenda. I don't obviously think he's obviously the favourite. I actually believe it's Mauricio Pochettino that's the favourite to take over Manchester United, of course, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is to be sacked. But of course, before Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did get recommended into the football club, don't forget we was in for Mauricio Pochettino for quite some time. But obviously at the time we did go in for Pochettino. Obviously Pochettino didn't have any intentions of leaving Tottenham, and obviously I think Pochettino now is in the same position as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with Tottenham. I think he's also under serious pressure, because obviously Man United and Tottenham have both endured difficult starts to this season. So I think if Solskjaer is sacked, I think probably the club will definitely reignite their interest in Pochettino. I do probably believe that we'll have to pay £32 million in compensation to recommend Pochettino into the football club. Don't forget Pochettino signed a new 5-year contract with Tottenham last summer, and he has been a long-serving manager in the Premier League, and a lot of people out there believe that Mauricio Pochettino can elevate Manchester United forward, and believe he would suit the strappings of the football club. Obviously, I've got some element of concern about Pochettino. Obviously, he hasn't won out in terms of silverware, but a lot of people believe he would be the right candidate for Manchester United. Pochettino has been at Tottenham 6 years now. Well, this is his 6th season. Sorry, he has been there 5 years, and his record is quite good overall. Obviously, Tottenham got to their first ever Champions League final last season. Also, Pochettino is good at developing young players, but he is highly experienced. Don't forget he also had a good short tenure with Southampton. When he spent, was it not even a season there, was it, if I can remember rightly? He's been managing now around 10 years as Pochettino, because obviously don't forget he started his managerial career in 2009. Obviously, I think it was Espanyol, but I think he's the primary candidate to come to Manchester United if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is to be sacked. Obviously, we do know that other managers have also been mentioned. Obviously, there has been a lot of talks about Massimiliano Allegri, the former Juventus manager. He stepped down as Juventus manager earlier on in the summer, did Massimiliano. Obviously, the vast majority of his silverware he won obviously came at Juventus, because he did serve around 5 years with Juventus, did Massimiliano Allegri. So I do think he would be the right candidate for Manchester United. Like I said, I think he's been managing now around, over 16 years. I think he began his managerial career in 2003. Obviously, so far has spent the entirety of his managerial career in Italy. Also spent the entirety of his playing career in Italy. So also Massimiliano Allegri has been mentioned, and quite a few other managers have been mentioned. But I think we'll probably not end up getting Mauricio Pochettino, even though Daniel Levy is a hard negotiator. But I think Tottenham probably will end up sacking Pochettino, and I think if he gets that opportunity to come to Manchester United, I think Pochettino will grasp that opportunity, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not going to last at Manchester United. The board are not going to stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And like I recently mentioned in recent videos, I think the only reason that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is at the football club now for this present time is because obviously he was a club legend, because Solskjaer was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance, and Solskjaer has got that proven pedigree as a player, but he just hasn't got the intuition as a manager. He hasn't got it. He hasn't really got that managerial experience to the highest level. well. You know, he won a couple of Norwegian titles with Mold. You know, he only had a really short tenure with Cardiff and that, so he hasn't really got that managerial experience in that. And like I did mention, in a way, I do feel sorry for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because I think the club have put him in a very, very difficult position. And like I did say towards the back end of last season, I've also said it recently, and I think a lot of Man United fans have said it quite recently. You know, Manchester United, you know, should have not give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job. You know, like I do keep saying, you know, we should have waited until the end of last season, or we should have waited at some point until this season, you know, to make a decision, you know, whether to give him the job or not. But he isn't good enough, you know. He isn't good enough, you know, for Manchester United, you know, to be quite honest with you. You know, obviously the vast majority of Manchester United fans now, obviously, you know, do want Solskjaer out of the football club. But you'll still get certain Manchester United fans, you know, you're still getting certain pundits out there saying that Manchester United, you know, should still back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and maybe, you know, we should still give him a bit more time at the football club. Because, you know, there's still some people saying maybe, you know, we should, you know, give him at least a couple more windows, you know, to rebuild more, you know, to see who else, you know, he can, you know, recommend into the squad. Because you can quite frankly say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad, because analysing the majority of this squad isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. Obviously, you know, there's only 3 players that are his that he did recommend to the squad during the summer, and obviously, you know, we spent nearly £150 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course on Harry Maguire, and you know, they've been really, really good signings, you know, to be fair. So it's good in the aspect, you know, that we did address some of the problematic areas during the summer, which was very imperative, but obviously, no, we didn't address all the problematic areas. But like I do keep saying, you know, the board have softened their stance with Solskjaer, because like I mentioned, you know, he was a club legend. You know, if it had been any other manager now, you know, right now as we speak, you know, they would have been sacked, you know, to be quite honest with you. But in a way, you know, I do feel sorry, you know, for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But you know, recently Gary Neville was speaking, and you know, I like Gary Neville. You know, he's a respectable pundit in that. You know, his footballing knowledge is absolutely fantastic, and he, you know, obviously, you know, he's a big Manchester United fan. Obviously, you know, he used to play for us, and he basically, you know, has criticised the board. He, in his own opinion, you know, he thinks the vast majority of the blame stems from the board, and I think the vast majority of the blame stems from the board. So I do agree with Gary Neville in that aspect, because you know, I don't only blame the board this summer, but I do blame them this summer for obviously not backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough. But I think they've been a liability for several years, if I'm going to be quite honest. You know, obviously, you know, with the poor recruitment, obviously, you know, with the poor selection of managers. So you'll get a lot of Manchester United fans not only demanding Solskjaer, you know, they'll also put a lot of criticism to the board. I think also there's a lot of Man United fans that are also demanding Ed Woodward out of the football club, because obviously I think Ed Woodward is an intuition as well. He doesn't really understand anything. But yeah, a lot of United fans are demanding him out. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to take some responsibility, because obviously, you know, some of the blame does stem from Solskjaer. Obviously, his tactics and that are questionable. I will admit, you know, Manchester United are tactically inept, and obviously, you know, some of the blame does stem from a lot of players, because a lot of the players have been underperforming, you know, so far this season. And you know, like I said, you know, I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure to become successful at Manchester United, but I just know it's not going to be become successful. Like I did say, you know, Solskjaer now has been at Manchester United around 10 months all in all. He's nearly been at the football club 11 months, so he's been here just under a year. You know, we recommended Solskjaer in December of last year, following the dismissal of Jose Mourinho, and obviously, you know, Solskjaer came in at the first term as the interim manager. Obviously, you know, Solskjaer had 3 months as the interim manager. You know, in that 3-month period, you know, Solskjaer did really, really well. You know, he exceeded expectations. You know, the results were good, the performances were good. He was getting the best out of these group of players. But you know, and he won his first 8 games. You know, won 14 out of 19 in total. But since he got the job permanently back in March earlier on this year, obviously, you know, everything has just seemed to have all gone wrong. But I think at the time, you know, we was in for Pochettino, like I mentioned. You know, I think our preference was Solskjaer, because obviously Solskjaer was a cheaper solution. Obviously, we didn't pay nowhere near as much as we would have done for Pochettino at the time, and obviously, you know, Solskjaer, you know, does know the club inside out. So this is probably the reason, you know, why we did go with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But in that 3-month period, yeah, he did really, really well as interim manager. It has been revealed as well that, you know, we have the 4th worst record in the Premier League, just to remind you, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer Solskjaer, got permanently appointed as Manchester United manager. I think, we've only registered 17 points from our last 16 Premier League matches. I think, the only teams with the worse records than us is Southampton, Brighton, and Watford. So that just indicates how much, an embarrassment, where the football club are at this moment in time. At this moment in time and that. But, we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. So the last time, we enjoyed this bad a start to a season was back in, 1980 or 1990, which was obviously, around 30 years ago now. So far this season, we've only managed 2 Premier League wins out of 8 league games. And, we've only managed 9 goals so far in the Premier League, this season. And we are actually, sitting 2 points above relegation. So you can quite say, we are facing a relegation battle. We have already had 3 defeats so far this season, so something, does need to change at Manchester United. And, I think it's now 11 away games, like I mentioned, that Solskjaer's had now without a win at Manchester United. Our away form's been terrible, we haven't won away from home, since the PSG game last season. I think also our home form has also, been very, very poor. And basically for me, everything needs to improve at Manchester United. I think, the style of play is absolutely atrocious. The brand of football is woeful. I think, the performances need to improve. A lot of players need to improve. I think, Solskjaer, probably needs to leave the football club and that. But I think, some people still believe that us getting rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now, wouldn't solve a lot of problems at Manchester United. So maybe this is why some people are saying, maybe, we do need to give him a bit more time and that. Like I said, I was reading recent reports on, I think Liverpool is the game if we don't win that, and I think it did say if we suffer a heavier defeat against Liverpool or even lose the game, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure, could come to an end at Manchester United. I think it has been revealed how much it will cost the football club if we do sack Solskjaer, and I think it did say it will cost the club around £7 million. But obviously, I think it cost us around, was it £22-23 million, to sack Jose Mourinho. But, like I mentioned, I don't think the club, will get relegated. Like I mentioned, I think the club's too big. Obviously, there's too much money and that into the football club. But, obviously, we're enjoying a worse season this season, than what we saw last season, because last season was bad enough. We finished 6th, we failed to qualify for the Champions League. I did say, that was one of the main reasons that went against us in the summer transfer window. This is why I wasn't competitive enough in the summer transfer window, because obviously, if you're not in a Champions League football, obviously, it's going to be harder to attract players to the elite level. And I did initially say we need to get into that top 4 this season. I know we're not going to get top 4 this season. I've already disregarded that. But like I did initially say, our expectations, I said, would have been to finish in that top 4 and that. And I did say for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure to last at Manchester United, he's got to exceed those expectations. But we're not going to get the top 4 this season. I think Solskjaer's actually, got huge doubts about even finishing in the top 6. I don't even think we'll finish in the top 7, where things are going at the moment. We are sitting 12th in the league at the moment, but we know this is nowhere near good enough, to our standards. And, reflecting on the amount of money that's been invested into the football club over the years, also, reflecting on the history of this football club, we should be much more of a commanding position, than we're in now. But yeah, I think definitely, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, will be gone by Christmas, and I think it'll either be Pochettino or maybe could be Wenger, but maybe Wenger won't come in. I don't think he's the favourite anywhere, or Massimiliano Allegri. It'll be one of them managers, that do replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now this season. But it's actually no worse under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era, than what it was, under the Jose Mourinho era. It's even worse than it was under the David Moyes era. And obviously, I think Solskjaer's now been here the same amount of time as how long David Moyes was at the club, because David Moyes only lasted 10 months at Manchester United, so he had only a really, really short tenure with the football club. And David Moyes is actually, he's the manager that's had the shortest tenure at Manchester United, since the Alex Ferguson era and that. Like I did mention, that was one mistake, Alex Ferguson made. was recommending, David Moyes into the job. Obviously, we know that when we appointed David Moyes, I know obviously it was never going to work out because obviously he never had that proven pedigree. He never really dealt with top players, and we finished seventh in that particular season under David Moyes, and that's actually the lowest we've finished. That's actually the lowest we've finished since the Alex Ferguson era. But yeah, that's one mistake Alex Ferguson did make. But under the Jose Mourinho era, I've already given you the reasons why it didn't work out under the Jose Mourinho era. Jose Mourinho served 2.5 years at Manchester United. He served 2.5 years at the football club. Obviously, he's had the longest tenure at the football club so far since the Alex Ferguson era. And I think you could arguably say if we'd have recommended Jose Mourinho in after Alex Ferguson's retirement, then maybe it would have been a different scenario with Manchester United. Because, like I said, Jose Mourinho back in the day, was regarded as one of the best managers in the world. Obviously, he's got that proven pedigree. He's won stuff and that, everywhere he's been. But we appointed him in too late, and it didn't work out under Mourinho, despite the fact he won the Europa League and League Cup in his first season with Manchester United. Is because obviously Mourinho, there was no sort of strategy under Mourinho. The philosophy wasn't right. The board weren't backing the signings that I wanted to recommend into the football club last summer. And Jose Mourinho had a poor relationship with the board, and he also had a poor relationship, with some the top players. And Mourinho spent a substantial amount at the football club. He spent just under £400 million, was it, on 11 players. So the vast majority of this team is actually Jose Mourinho. So take into account that Solskjaer he's actually inheriting the vast majority of Jose Mourinho's players. And maybe Solskjaer would like more time and that at the football club, and some other people out there would like to see him get more time. But the thing is now managers don't get the time that they would like. We're not in the old generation now. This is this generation now, and the boards are obviously a lot more ruthless. And like I did say to you, obviously when we recommended Alex Ferguson in, from Aberdeen, was it back in 1985, 1986. Don't forget Ferguson, didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United and that. But we know managers got the time that they would have liked then. And he was on one game away from getting the sack, and he didn't. And then, look what Alex Ferguson went and accomplished. We had, 20 odd years of success under him. And like I said, we'll never be the team that was under Ferguson. Solskjaer can't invoke, Ferguson's legacy, to save him at Manchester United, but we'll never be the team that we was under Alex Ferguson. I did initially say I hope this team now, this day and age, can replicate what the team did under Alex Ferguson. But I think there's still some people out there that have got sympathy for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because obviously not all the blame stems from him. Only some of the blame stems from him. But you've also got to say that some people will have sympathy for him, because, I think this is the worst Manchester United team I've seen in this generation for a long, long time. And like I did mention, we had a fantastic team under Alex Ferguson. Obviously, Ferguson developed a lot of young players. But, we had a great team under the Alex Ferguson era, but we are aware now that this is a new era, with different players, different groups that obviously we are building and that. So it's a total different era now, and we have been a toxic football club for the last 6 or 7 years, but we are still one of the biggest clubs in the world. Solskjaer, of course, is our fourth permanent manager, since the Alex Ferguson era. And like I did say, we're not really known for the sacking football club. And, I don't like managers to be sacked anywhere. But, we have sacked 3 managers, since the Alex Ferguson era. So if Solskjaer is to be sacked, obviously he's going to be the 4th manager, to be sacked since the Alex Ferguson era. But we haven't really, got the structure, to keep sacking managers. And obviously, Solskjaer wants to bring that fear factor back to the football club. He wants to bring, that winning mentality. But obviously, a lot of people have got doubts now about it. I think recent reports have also mentioned that Solskjaer actually instructed Ed Woodward, to sell 9 players, and that obviously we did get rid of a lot of the players, during the summer. So since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, a lot of players have actually left Manchester United. But I still believe, these more problematic players the football club that do need to be moved on. Obviously, like I mentioned, Italy has been a very, very popular destination, for the vast majority of our players this summer that have obviously left Manchester United. Obviously, we have loaned some players out. And I think, the club have done mistakes, in the past and that. I think one mistake the club made was obviously getting rid of Ander Herrera during this summer, because he was arguably one of our best players, since the Alex Ferguson era. And I think, analysing the majority of his 5-year tenure, I think Ander Herrera, did really, really well. And I was very, very annoyed that we also, let Ander Herrera, go on a free transfer. And again, we didn't recruit a replacement for Ander Herrera, during the summer. But I'm glad, we did get that summer clear out, that we did initially demand. But there is still more problematic players at the football club. But, I just can't believe, how bad, Manchester United have been this season. I didn't even expect it, to be this bad. And I thought, actually, there would have been improvements this season, because we actually began the season well. We did well throughout pre-season. We got off to a good start against Chelsea on the opening day, winning 4-0. But since then, everything have just seemed to have all gone wrong. I think every game, we've scored in this season, we've failed to score more than one goal. Prior to the Chelsea game, that's the only game where we did score more than one, because obviously, we scored 4 against Chelsea. But I think, we deserve to be in this position, where we are. Because I don't think we've had really a good game this season. I think there's been 3 games in the league this season where we've been in winning positions at half time, but obviously we're still failed to win. And I think if we keep Solsjaker, I obviously think things are going to get worse. And I honestly don't think things are going to turn around at Manchester United. And for me, the board need to assure structural changes at the football club. Whether they can assure these structural changes or not, I do not know. But I think actually Ed Woodward now is losing his patience with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So I think a defeat to Liverpool probably is going to be enough, to end Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure at the football club. But like I mentioned to you, Solskjaer was a great player. He was a fantastic player. One of his most iconic moments as a player, obviously, was back in 1999. Obviously, when he won the club the treble with the goal he scored, and that's obviously, one of the club's greatest achievements. Obviously, I think he scored 126 goals in 366 games in all competitions for Manchester United in his 11 years. I think he won 6 Premier League titles in that. But obviously, we all love Solskjaer. But obviously, we're being honest, he's not good enough, to succeed as manager. At least, we are being honest about him. Like I mentioned, do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in certain aspects in that, he did bring 3 good players to the squad during this summer. He's got a lot of faith in his young upcoming players, because a lot of the young players have been given their chances this season. But I don't really credit him, for much, things, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, so who would be the right man, to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now at the football club? We are making plans for the January transfer window, and I saw too is Ed Woodward. He's making plans for the January transfer window. I doubt that Solskjaer will be here by January, but if he is, I think he's still keen on continuing the policy of recruiting young British players, obviously, like he did do earlier on in the summer and that. But we are obviously, making plans for the January window, because it's quite obvious that furthermore investment is needed in the squad. We definitely need a midfielder, we need a striker, because I think we look now exposed in that attacking line, following the dismissal of Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez, and especially, with the injury of Anthony Martial, we do look so exposed in that attacking line, and, like I said, I'm happy that Lukaku and Sanchez, obviously, both left the football club, but Lukaku left the football club because he initially lost his place in the team, and that he lost his place in the team. Obviously, he initially lost his place in the team, to Marcus Rashford, did Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, Lukaku served 2 years at Manchester United. Obviously, he scored 42 goals in 96 games in all competitions, and to be fair, Lukaku was exceptional in his first season, but didn't really replicate that in his second season. And that I'm happy with the money we did generate from his departure. Obviously, we got around 70-odd million for Lukaku, so basically we did recoup the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago. We need to get a replacement for him in January. And with Sanchez, I'm glad he left. He enjoyed the difficult 18 months at Manchester United. He only managed 5 goals in 45 games in all competitions. Obviously, despite the fact that he's on loan with Inter Milan, we are still paying the vast majority of his wages. I think we're still paying him around 300 grand a week. But yeah, I've got a lot of element of concerns about that attacking line at the moment, because we do need to see more inspiration in the attacking third in the pitch. But like I said, this game against Liverpool is a big game after the international break and that. Obviously, the good news is for us, I think the vast majority of our players that are injured, will be back for the game against Liverpool, which is very, very good news. So I do presume that Anthony Martial is going to be back for Liverpool. Luke Shaw is going to be back for Liverpool, because obviously Anthony Martial and Luke Shaw have both missed the last 6 games for Manchester United in all competitions, as you all know. Martial's been out of thigh injury. He hasn't played since the 2-1 defeat to Palace. Luke Shaw obviously hasn't played since the 2-1 defeat to Palace, because obviously he's out with a hamstring injury. So obviously they're two imperative players. But you can't take injuries into account. You can't take injuries into account and obviously use them as an excuse, because they're not an excuse. And that, yeah, we have got some imperative players out and that. But I'd be glad to see Anthony Martial come back, because I thought Anthony Martial enjoyed a really, really good start to this season. Obviously, before he sustained his injury, and he has been a big miss. Martial is 23 years of age, still got a lot of development in him. Martial scored over 50 goals for the club. I think now he's in all competitions. He's now into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. But I think a lot of things have improved about his game, and if he can avoid any more injuries this season, and he can avoid and he can sort of keep the consistency up, I think he can, score from at least between 15 to 20 goals this season. Like I said, I know Martial predominantly plays out wide, but I think he's more effective in that central position, Anthony Martial, a lot more effective in that central position. But Martial and Rashford are compatible in that aspect, because they can both play in the same positions. Rashford can play centre, can play out wide. Martial can play centre, and of course can play out wide. And don't forget, it will cast memories for Anthony Martial, if he can play against Liverpool, because obviously don't forget, back under Louis van Gaal, where Martial did score on his Premier League debut for Manchester United against Liverpool, if you do remember rightly. We got Martial as a 19-year-old, if you do remember rightly. But yeah. Very, very imperative player. And with Luke Shaw, obviously, he's obviously our first choice left back. Like I said, analysing the majority of his Man United career, I think he's been mainly consistent. He's had some bad spells, he's sustained quite a few injuries, but prior to that, he's done mainly well. Luke Shaw got the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances, but being very, very impressed with him, to be quite fair. Paul Pogba, he should be back as well from injury, as confirmed. Paul Pogba, should be back from injury. Paul Pogba's missed around, 3, 4, 5 games so far this season, but he has played the vast majority of them. And I think, he hasn't performed to the standards, as where we all expected, basically. But analysing the majority of his Manchester United career, since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016, he has been mainly inconsistent in comparison to his time at Juventus, because Paul Pogba, did have 4 good years with Juventus, but Pogba, like I mentioned, has missed the last 2 games for Man United, obviously due to the recurrence of his foot injury that he had sustained against Southampton earlier on in the season. But he did confirm, that he has been further assessed. But yeah, Pogba, should be available for the game against Liverpool. But I think, Paul Pogba, will end up leaving the football club. He'll either leave in January or he will leave next summer. I'm glad Man United did convince Paul Pogba to remain at the football club, at least for this summer. Obviously, with our failure to get a midfielder in. But I still think, he does want them out the football club. So yeah, he should be available for Liverpool. Also to And Wan-Bissaka should be back as well. Obviously, he's missed the last 2 league games. He's missed the last 3 in all competitions with illness. And Wan-Bissaka, a lot of people believe, he has been one of our most consistent signings. And I think he has, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, he's our first choice right back. Obviously, and Wan-Bissaka, when he was a lot younger, he was primarily a right winger. But as he was developing, of course, he got rotated as a right back. But I think he's done very, very well for Manchester United. And I think he can, be our fullback for the next decade. But if Bissaka can keep the consistency up, I think he can. I think his valuation will persistently grow, and Yeah, so he's currently been suffering from tonsillitis. Eric Bayes a long term absence, so we won't see him in action until the end of December or the new year. Don't forget he sustained a knee injury throughout pre-season. Jesse Lingard, obviously he came off with a hamstring problem in the 0-0 draw with AZ Alkmaar, if you do remember rightly, but he should be available for the Liverpool game. Fossil Mento, I think, is still out with injury. Like I said, Rashford's just recently recovered from a groin problem. So yeah, we've had quite a lot of injuries. Yeah, we have had quite a lot of injuries, to be quite honest with you. But like I did say, we've got to beat Liverpool, after the international break, and we know it's going to be an extremely difficult game. Liverpool, of course, have won all their, games so far this season. They've won 8 out of 8, so in that aspect, they have registered 24 points, and I do believe it's going to be Liverpool's year this season. Obviously, they were unlucky not to win it last season, but obviously Liverpool last season, won the Champions League. Obviously, they won the Champions League. Obviously, they've won the Champions League now 6 times of Liverpool. Obviously, their expectations probably will be to win the league, because obviously since the Premier League got founded back in 92, 93, obviously Liverpool have never won it, so they haven't won it all in all for 3 decades. But fair play to Jurgen Klopp, he's doing a really good job. I don't think he's actually ever won at Old Trafford, but he's doing a really good job at Liverpool. The Champions League was the first major honour, he won with Liverpool last season. Obviously, I think when he was at Borussia Dortmund, Jurgen Klopp, did win a couple of, titles with them. But Liverpool, have got a really good team and that, and they were actually, sensible with their recruitment and that. They didn't overpay for players. They actually, didn't buy anyone, I don't think, this summer, but I think they did good investment in the last couple of windows. Don't forget they paid 75 million for Van Dijk. I think he's regarded as one of the best centre-halves in the world, or in the Premier League at least. Allington, of course, he's doing obviously really well for them. They've got a great attacking trio through Mane, Salah and Firmino. They've got like Jorginho, Wijnaldum. They've got 2 great fullbacks. They've got Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andrew Robertson. They're both to show good attacking intent. Defensively they're fantastic as well. They do make good overlapping runs. But yeah, Liverpool have got a really good team, and in terms of attacking intent, they're also a very good team. Defensively they're good, so it's going to be really difficult game for us. But we need to be on our game. If we've got any chances of salvaging anything from Liverpool, we've got to be on our game. But Liverpool's record at Old Trafford is actually very poor. They haven't they've only won twice at Old Trafford, I think, in the last decade, if I'm right. The last time they actually beat us at Old Trafford in the league was back in 2014, which was obviously back under the David Moyes era. I think they beat us 3-0, and before that, I think it was back in 2009 when they did beat us by 4-1. Obviously, that was back under the Alex Ferguson era. But even though Man United, Liverpool now, is not good, obviously, the fixture's not as obviously iconic, as it was. We still know it's still a massive game, because obviously, Manchester United and Liverpool are the 2 most successful clubs in England. Historically, Liverpool have won 18 all first divisions. Manchester United have won 20 titles in total and that. So it is still always a big game. But we do know at the moment, Liverpool are strides ahead of us, at least 2 to 3 years ahead of Manchester United and that. But it's going to be a very big game. And I did initially say this season as well, we've also got to improve our record against the top 6 sides. But everything basically, needs to improve at Manchester United. And I think a lot of players have underperformed so far this season and that, and we've got players on big contracts at the football club, like I mentioned on my recent videos earlier. We've got You've got obviously Rashford, he's on a substantial amount and he's only 21 years of age. He's on nearly 300 grand a week. I think it is 300 grand a week if you do include the bonuses. So in that aspect, he's on that list of one of the highest paid players at the football club. And Rashford's been very poor this season, so he needs to pick up on his game. I think he's enjoyed a difficult time at Manchester United now for quite some time, especially this season. In comparison to his time when he first broke into the senior squad. squad and that. So he really definitely, needs to improve, because when Rashford's at his best, we know he can do good, we know he can receive the ball, he can obviously, get them runs in behind and that. But he's just been so poor this season as Marcus Rashford, and, we've also got Martial on 200 grand a week. He's another one of the highest paid players at the club. You've got Pogba on obviously 290 grand a week. So he's on just under 300 grand a week at Man United. Recent reports have, indicated out saying that Paul Pogba now is demanding a substantial 600 grand a week from the football club. If he is there to sign a new long-term contract with Manchester United. 600 grand a week, like I mentioned, does equate to around £30 million a year. I can't see Manchester United, willing to meet his wage demands in that, but that is asking, for way too much money. But Paul Pogba has still got 2 years left on his contract with Manchester United, with an option of a further year. This is his current deal, and he's still one of the highest paid players at the club at the moment. You've obviously got David De Gea. He's the highest paid goalkeeper in the world. He's on 375 grand a week at Manchester United and that. Obviously, De Gea's been a long servant at Manchester United. De Gea now is into his, 9th season as a Manchester United player, so he has been here 8 years. I think analysing it overall, overall, I think, David De Gea is the best goalkeeper in the world, but at this present time, he's not the best in the world. I think, Alisson's doing better than him at the moment. Maybe even Manuel Neuer is better than him at the moment. Perhaps maybe even Jan Blanc's better than him at the moment, because he hasn't been, brilliant this season. He made costly mistakes towards the back end of last season, but I said at that time it was mainly to do with the contractual situation anyway. But, I'd say David De Gea's had, 7.5 good years in the football club, and I'm glad, that we did get him that new long-term contract. So I'm glad he's committing his future with Manchester United, and he has been here, of course, since the Alex Ferguson era. De Gea's he's not far away from making 400 appearances for the club in all competitions. I think he's made about 370 odd appearances for Manchester United. But yeah, he's the highest played goalkeeper in the world. We've got Harry Maguire on around 200 grand a week. On around 200 grand a week. We've got Jesse Lingard. I think he's on around 100 odd grand a week. So yeah, we have got players on big contracts. I'm happy that we did get them contract renewals. There is certain players that we shouldn't have given new long-term contracts. We shouldn't have give Jones a new long-term contract. Obviously, he signed a new long-term contract last season. Young signed a new 1-year extension last season. We shouldn't have given any of them new contracts at the football club. Shouldn't give any of them, new long-term contracts at the football club, but, obviously now where we currently did in that. But like I mentioned, yeah, there's still more players that do need to leave Manchester United, and like I said, things need to be turned around at the football club, and there's still plenty of time, to fix things around. Obviously, there is still a long way to go in the season, but we need to start winning games. We need to start scoring goals, because we obviously we haven't been scoring goals so far this season. But yeah, it is actually I am actually ashamed, to be a Manchester United fan. I've actually been ashamed to be a Man United fan, in the last 6 or 7 years and that. Yeah, so I don't, Solsjaker is not going to last as Manchester United manager in that. And, if Liverpool beat us, that's it. I think, Solskjaer's tenure is up and out of the football club. And, Manchester United, the last time we was relegated, was actually, back in 1974, which was obviously now over 40 odd years ago. But yeah, I just think things are getting from bad to worse. And yeah, there's nothing much really more to say. But yeah, there's still some people believe that we should, give him more time and that, to see who else he can recommend into the football club. Some people believe that we need at least maybe 4, 5 world-class signings, to get us back, to where we do want to be. Like I mentioned, I think at an estimated guess around 800, 900 million pounds, something like that has been spent in the last 6 or 7 years on players and that, in all the man Jalen Moreira's. Obviously, that's just under £1 billion, and that's obviously not taking into account what was spent under Alex Ferguson. But, we haven't won the Premier League, since 2013. And obviously, that came in Alex Ferguson's last season. The last time, obviously, won the Premier League. And I think, at least 3 to 4 years off winning the league, or even, mounting any kind of title challenge up. But, analysing our squad at the moment, it's definitely, in my opinion, good enough for a top 4 finish. And we have got good players in that team. They're just not gelling together. They're just not working as a team, and that does seem to be the problem. But like I said, I said early on this summer, maybe we should be sensible with our recruitment, because always spending big on players, doesn't always, guarantee you success. And that's been proven with Manchester United in the last 6 or 7 years. That's been proven with us in the last 6 or 7 years. And there's basically, nothing much really more to say in that. And, there's been some rumours saying, could maybe Ole Gunnar Solsjaker be sacked during the international break? I doubt that's going to happen. Like I mentioned, if we don't win the Liverpool game, then, he's probably going to be leaving Manchester United, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, I want to know in your comments below, who would you, recommending as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's replacement at the football club? I just would like to know, to be quite honest with you. But, we have, like I mentioned, and I do keep mentioning, we have got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve at Man United. And like I mentioned to you, I've still got element of concerns about, certain young upcoming players. And what I mean in that aspect is that I don't think all the young upcoming players are going to become a success at the football club. And that I think definitely Mason Greenwood will become a success at Manchester United. I think he'll definitely become a success. And I think by the time he's 23, 24, he will be a world-class centre-forward, Will Greenwood. Greenwood needs to play more. He's not yet started a game from the start in the Premier League this season. He has made 6 substitute appearances in the league, but has not started from the start. And, he did start against FC Astana and Rochdale, obviously, in the Carabao Cup and, the Europa League, and obviously scored in them 2 particular games. So, capable player with a moment of quality. Mason Greenwood, of course, has just turned 18 years of age. But I think, and the aspect of him playing as number 9, I think is a much better solution than Rashford. I'm being honest, I think he's actually a much better solution than Rashford. I think quite recently, we've actually played Mason Greenwood on the right-hand side, but Solskjaer did assure that Greenwood anywhere will get more minutes under his belt. Chong, I've got element of concerns about him. I think he's totally comparison to Mason Greenwood. And I think, maybe we should consider, maybe loaning, some young upcoming players out. I think, Tuan Zebe, he'll become another success at Manchester United, in my opinion. Obviously, you've got McTominay. He's done really, really well overall this season. Prior to the game on Sunday against Newcastle, I thought he was really, really poor. I thought McTominay and Fred both looked totally exposed in that midfield, on Sunday against Newcastle, and that was also another embarrassment. But McTominay mainly has deserved to keep his place in the team, reflecting on his impressive performances. These question marks around him, can he keep the consistency up? And, I hope he can keep the consistency up. He's had one bad game, but I think he can turn it around. McTominay, in regards to him being, the long-term solution for Man United, I have got concerns about that. But, it is obviously, we'll see how he gets on. With Fred, he's had a good couple of games this season. Obviously, a lot of Man United fans believe, that obviously, Fred isn't good enough. Obviously, we paid just under £50 million for Fred last summer. To be fair to Fred, he never really got the chance under the Jose Mourinho where he did Fred. Obviously, he has been given the chances under Solskjaer and that. But, I think, we need to give him a bit more time at the football club. My overarching view, Andres Pereira, he's obviously another one of the young upcoming players. I've got element of concerns about him. I still think he needs time. I think he's been poor this season. The games he has played in, quite a few times this season he has played on the right, I think, and that. But I think the only good game he had was the Arsenal game. I think prior to that he's been poor. Jimmy Garner, I don't think, he's actually yet played this season. I think Diego Dalot has made a couple of first team appearances this season. He's obviously one of our backup options at that right back position. But like I mentioned, I think the players that need to improve. Jesse Lingard definitely needs to improve because he's enjoyed a really bad start to this season. As Jesse Lingard, he has been absolutely atrocious. And like I mentioned, reflecting on his status at the football club, he should be putting a much more better performances out. Rashford definitely needs to improve. He needs to improve. Pereira needs to improve. Fred still needs to improve, in my opinion. He's obviously still in the process of developing. There's so many players that need to improve, and that I think De Gea needs to improve. So many need to improve, in my opinion. Matic, he needs to improve. I think he's one of the players that needs to be moved on in January or next summer. But yeah, a lot of problems at Manchester United at the moment. Like, I mentioned a while ago, I think there has been cultural problems at the football club anywhere in the last 6 or 7 years. But yeah, I think, something else that could have gone against us during the summer as well, obviously, it was with our failure to recommend a new director of footballing. Because I did initially say that's one of the structural changes and that we do need at the football club. Because if we'd got that director of footballing, then maybe in that aspect, Solsjaker would have been backed more. If we'd had got a director of footballing. And there was quite a few former Manchester United players, linked with that director as well during the summer. And I did say it would be beneficial to recommend someone, who knows the culture of the club, someone who's got that experience, someone, of course, who would be reliable, to oversee our transfer business. But obviously, we didn't get that director of football in. But, like I mentioned, I just can't believe how bad we've played this season. The performances have been poor. We haven't been scoring enough goals. Haven't registered a single shot on target as well in the last 2 games. Lack of balls into the box, lack of movement, so basically everything needs to improve at the football club, and these are nothing much really more to say. So like I said, there'll be more videos coming up tomorrow. Like I said, I think Solskjaer is actually 1 game away from getting the sack. If you want to put it into if you want to put it into if you want to put it into words and that. Obviously the media are saying, he could figure the sack, so it's obviously not assured, but I'll translate into my own words and say, if we'd failed to beat Liverpool, I think his tenure is over at Manchester United and that. Yeah. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribing, as always, and take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.